Welcome to the Scottsdale Vibes podcast. I'm Alicia Haygood. There is one place here in Scottsdale we all know, and probably 99.9% of us have visited. It is the WestWorld. Between the Barrett Jackson shows, the events, the equestrian shows, Arabian Horse Show, and more, everything and anything is really happening at WestWorld. And we are so excited to have Interim GM Cassie Johnson with us, who's going to talk about the growth, the changes, and how we are going to expand WestWorld to make it a bigger and better place for all of us to enjoy. But first, speaking of real estate, let's talk about our favorite Scottsdale real estate agent, Shawn Shackelton. For over 25 years, our sponsor, Scottsdale real estate agent Shawn Shackelton, has guided buyers and sellers with straight talk, smart strategy, and data that keeps you ahead of the market. If you want a calm pro who won't let you settle for less, reach out to Shawn at 480-734-7277 or visit theshackletongroup.com and make your next move a winning one. Well, as we all know, there are so many events in North Scottsdale. I live by there, and so I understand both good and bad, everything that it does. Between our economic growth, the taxes and entertainment it brings in, it really is a place that puts Scottsdale on the map for so many incredible reasons. And I'm so excited to welcome you, Cassie. So first of all, welcome to your new role as interim GM. And I'm really excited to talk about all the great things that are coming ahead for WestWorld, because you look at it and you wonder, how does this place get some of the events that it does? But it really does change overnight. So tell me a little bit more just about you and your connection to the city and getting in with WestWorld recently.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I started with the city of Scottsdale as an intern in the police department in my undergrad program, and I kind of just never left. And so I was able to come in and I did crime analysis, and I loved the impact that local community, local policing, local government all has together. And so I sought opportunities. I became a part-time employee, I became a volunteer, and I started my grad program with a master's in public administration. At that point, I went and I worked in some other communities as a graduate fellow. I partnered with Arizona State University as a graduate fellow for their California Civic Innovation Project.
Okay.
And so I got some time in southern LA area. And
Quickly came back?
I loved it, but I really missed the desert. And so having an opportunity to come back, and there was a position that was open with the Scottsdale Police Department as a senior analyst in their planning, research, and accreditation area. And it was the same place that I loved. I had already been there. Yeah. I had roots, but it was the projects and the work that I really found that I loved in those other communities. And so having a chance to come back and be in the same place. And so I applied, I put all my eggs in that basket, I moved back, and kind of the rest is history at that point.
That.
And so within the police department, I was able to grow into the manager of the planning, research, and accreditation section of the police department, which oversees policy, compliance, data, strategic planning, all of those big picture projects that impact a police department and connect to the broader local government. Mm-hmm. And from there, I promoted to a director over our strategic initiatives, which included our budget and finance section, our planning, research, and accreditation section, and then our public records section. Okay. And so my scope grew. I was able to really be involved in all areas of the police department. When you talk about budget and finance, right? Everything touches.
Hated and loved at the same time.
100%. But you know so much about how everything connects, and then how it connects into the broader city government.
Yeah.
And so I got my master's in public administration, but I also got a master's in security studies from the Naval Postgraduate School during that time. There's a program that brings all of these different Homeland Security professionals together, and then they go through a master's cohort. And
Very
so
cool.
It was, my classmates were FBI and other police departments and fire personnel, emergency managers. And so you really look at how do you support Homeland Security as a broad initiative and like with strategic vision. What's funny is how all of the worlds connect, because in that grad program, I did a continuity of operations project about WestWorld.
Did you really?
Yeah. And so because it's such a huge opportunity in event space.
I was going to say, like, working with them is working with WestWorld because of all the events and the security that we have going on here. That makes complete sense for you to have that, you know, knowledge and skill set's huge, I think.
Super cohesive. And so earlier this year, I was asked to take on a special project by the city. Some people don't realize that WestWorld is a city department. Mm-hmm. It's a city facility and venue. And so having the opportunity to go in, and I joke that I was asked to just go do your things over there. And so I went to WestWorld, and they were going through the process of bringing their strategic plan to council for adoption. And I'm a facilitator. I facilitate for strategic plans for other places, but then I also implement and deliver our strategic plan in the police department. And so being able to build a foundation in which we have this tool, we had a partner that did our strategic plan with input from our stakeholders, mayor and council, staff, other city leadership, and the community. But then there's the plan that you put out, and then there's how do you do the plan so that you carry it out. And so I was asked to come and build infrastructure for the team administratively to carry out that plan, track it, report on it. Additionally, I'm really great with numbers and efficiencies and processes and process improvement. And so really coming in and looking at the administrative back end and going, are there areas and ways that we can help everybody, our producers, staff, city leadership, and just bring alignment and process efficiency to all of our things. And so that was looking at workload analysis, and that was looking at contract language. And so I spent 6 months with the team there really digging into administrative projects as a special assignment. And there I fell in love with WestWorld, and it's exactly what you said. They turn something over and make it completely different overnight. And so you go from a special event or a car show, and then 2 days later you have hundreds of horses on property for an equestrian. Sometimes at the same time, to be honest, right? So there's days where you can have 3 to 5 different events from a variety of different disciplines. I say WestWorld has something for everybody. And so we have to be able to provide resources and support to all of those different audiences.
What is WestWorld to you? And I want to know, and it might be too crazy to ask this question because you're kind of involved in it now, but like, what was WestWorld to you before compared to what is WestWorld to you now?
That's a really great question. So to your point of the public safety cohesion, right? From my professional role in the police department, WestWorld was something that was on my radar. As a person who grew up in the East Valley, right? WestWorld is a place that you go to, right? You go to the rodeo, or you go to Barrett Jackson, or so there's all of these different times in my life where WestWorld has meant something different, right?
Interesting.
So growing up, WestWorld was where the rodeo happened, right? Coming in as a city employee, WestWorld is where we provided public safety support and resources and figured out staffing models to provide for these events, right? And keep our community safe. Coming in as a special project, it was this beautiful opportunity to do all of my favorite things that I get to do professionally with a different audience and a different subject matter, if you will, but the same things, right? And so fresh start, fresh opportunities, like kind of not a blank slate because there was processes in place, right? But really getting to dig in and learn from the team and spend time with the staff and being out in the dirt with them, right? And really being able to live it, see it, do it. It was invigorating. And so having that special assignment time to really fall in love with this area and this, what it means for people come to WestWorld to have a good time.
Well, and it's, you kind of said it, so it's so interesting because the different stages of your life, it's meant different things to you. Now it's full circle, right? You're like running it. You're integrating all of these ideas that you used to visit as a child and the rodeo and stuff like that. So it's kind of full circle in that moment. Getting in now to the nitty gritty of things and seeing how those fun events happened and, understanding why the security was needed based off of that. WestWorld was built for equestrian. It's had all these incredible events, but it is the same thing sometimes, and it works, right? Like you said, there are policies and procedures. I'm interested to see once you got in, what are some things that you were excited and your team is excited to change, implement, and grow WestWorld to what it really can continue to be? Yeah,
so mastery of timing, right? So in June, I was asked if I would take on the interim general manager assignment when there was a transition, and it was an easy yes because the team and the work and everything that I got to learn and do, and so being able to help lead this team, plus timing is everything. And so we have several huge, significant capital projects that are coming to WestWorld, and I think that it's an opportunity to just transform and take something that's already really spectacular and make it even better for years to come so that we can grow capacity, that we can make sure that our events that are already here and those that want to come and join us have a easy place to host some incredible opportunities, right? And so this summer we launched the first of several phases of drainage, which doesn't sound super exciting, but when you think about the fact that WestWorld is on Bureau of Reclamation land, its intended use was to hold floodwaters, right? And so, which worked out beautifully. So when it rains, we get weather
Yes.
and rain and mud because we're an equestrian center as well. And so helping to mitigate some of those weather issues for our attendees is super important. And a lot of our big events in the time of year that everybody wants to be outside and be in those spaces, Barrett Jackson, the Arabian Horse Association, Sun Circuit, and our rodeo, and all of those things, those happen when we also have significant weather.
Right.
And so we have a project that's underway right now in construction phase that we're calling it the Bahia Drainage, and it's really helping to divert those waters through the property and out into the Riata Wash. We have 2 more drainage projects that are underway over the next several years, and it's really, there's the core, which is the actual event space, the places that people are used to being when they come to WestWorld, and really mitigating any of the places where we could have potentially standing water or water moving through barns. A regular attendee doesn't typically know that the barns can have some water and flooding through them, but the equestrian producers and their attendees sure do.
Yeah.
And nobody wants water running through their barns with their horses, right? The big car shows, right? When you have the number of vehicles that we bring in for either Barrett Jackson or Good Guys, there's a lot of vehicles, and then the water has impacts to that, right? And so helping get that water through the property and mitigating and minimizing those flood risks are super important to us. Other projects include wayfinding and directionals and signage at the property, and so we're talking about that right now so that we can help make it clearer where you're supposed to go. We have several arenas as an equestrian space. Some of them are covered, some of them are air conditioned. The Equidome is the one that most people are probably familiar with. But other arenas are used throughout the year that don't currently have shade, and so we're looking to increase shade capacity at WestWorld over the next several years. All of these projects are part of our council-adopted master plan. City Council adopted and approved this master plan in December of 2025, and it really covers shade, parking and access, and the drainage issues that we have to account for future growth.
Well, I mean, those are little things, I say in air quotes, because it's some of those things that people don't see that are happening behind the scenes that we will appreciate later that we don't understand. Parking, I understand. We need signs. I mean, I've found my ways and gotten lost so many times in that parking lot. There are many events. You have the fields where the polo match is held. You all, speaking of police, we have the K9 event, you know, in the arena, the rodeo. All of that is going on. What are some things that you're trying to expand to get out of what I want to say the typical events that we see at WestWorld? Is that possible, and what do we see happening in Scottsdale with that?
I think the world is open to us, and so we have amazing relationships with a lot of our event producers that have a home at WestWorld, and we love that they want to come back, and we find opportunities. Sometimes that means that they have additional shows at our property. A lot of our equestrian events, they don't just have one, they have several throughout the year. We have all of the events that you talked about, but we also have, we had a Warhammer gaming competition a few weeks ago, right? So using the space in order to do some of those tabletop game competitions that you wouldn't necessarily think about.
Scottsdale Con, is that coming next?
Maybe, right? And so whoever wants to decide it, right? But we had the home show. Right now we have an RV show.
That's
and
right,
so there's things for those enthusiasts that want to look for something to make their home beautiful or find something recreationally. Or we had a Collecticon, create like the trading cards that were there, and that was a huge space. And so, but then we have Montera is actually coming on to our capacity to book as part of WestWorld in the next month or two. And so Montera is a space on the property. If you've been there, you've probably driven by it. Maybe you've been to a wedding or a prom or something. If you've grown up in the Scottsdale area, that's what I hear everybody say. Montera was initially a restaurant. It was Diamondbacks and Rattlers on the property when it was Horse World. And so it was built in 1990. And it's had other ownership up until 2024 when the city acquired the facility. So it can really be a part of the cohesive property. And so we are going through a refresh right now on the facility. And we have, council is reviewing, and we're talking about the rate and fee adoption so that we can start booking that this fall.
Right.
So Montera opens up a space that's different than what we've had in our Equidome or the North North Hall, if you've been to any of our events in that big open air-conditioned space, Montera is a wedding venue, banquet hall, ballroom style space that was a beautiful restaurant, and now it's open for those types of events. And you can work with our partners at M Culinary to get the food and beverage, and so we'll be having that available for our community coming up in the next couple of months.
I mean, if you think about it, listening to you, there's every single size of event you could really have there. I mean, you have the massive hundreds of thousands of people for Barrett Jackson down to, like I said, I live near there, so that even the equestrian shows are different sizes. And sometimes they're super small and don't even know they're here, but they're really big shows, actually, that bring in very important horse riders. You just don't know those kind of things. So I'm interested to hear, what it does at the same time. We've talked about in the past what the WestWorld does for the economy here in Scottsdale. What are some things that to help grow, and why is it so important to Scottsdale? I mean, we've done a story and talked to Craig Jackson about what WestWorld means to him personally and why he continues to always support it, with the history of, I want to hear from you getting in there, like how are we going to continue to work with Scottsdale as a city and the residents, most importantly too, to make this be like the place, and why keep it important in our mind?
Well, as we were going through the council adoption for the strategic plan, one of the biggest pieces of it is that WestWorld is a significant economic driver, not just for Scottsdale, but for the region as a whole.
Yeah.
And so because people who are coming into WestWorld for things, they probably arguably aren't going to just be on the 400 acres of WestWorld, right? So they're coming in, they're flying to our airports, they're driving through our community, they're shopping in our communities, and they're eating and they're staying in our hotels. And so there's a huge opportunity. And when we look at the economic impact, it was over $160 million that was being created for the region through WestWorld.
That's incredible.
And so that is so important to everyone. And how do we look at those opportunities and continue to grow them? And that means two things. One, it means bringing events that have that economic impact, right? But it also means helping our event producers create events that drive economic impact, right? And so I think a lot of those are things that are in the strategic plan. There's 50 strategies that we were identified and adopted. And it's things like evaluating how to keep and make WestWorld even more of an economic driver. It's how do we make sure that we have the right events that are there for our community. It's how do we support staff? How do we provide infrastructure? How do we make sure that we have a safe and secure environment for our community and our attendees? And so the 50 strategies cover all of those areas, which is super important. But you can't do that by yourself. And so it's a community involvement and partnerships and collaboration. And so really working with Experience Scottsdale and having those collaborations, because they can go out and meet people who are looking to come to Scottsdale, and really making sure that we're clear in what we can provide and offer for our event producers, the sports world, right? And so Western and equestrian sports, we got, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know that one, right? But are there opportunities for other types of sports that, I've got a gigantic space that's air conditioned and climate controlled, right? And so really,
especially during the summer months when it's hot, you can't play outside. Like, what are we
well,
going
they do, but it's really uncomfortable, right? And so, and I'm like, and as parents or attendees that are coming to those events, and so providing, like, is there an opportunity where we can get really creative and find solutions there? And so working with our parks departments and working with Experience Scottsdale on, we have this opportunity, let's think creatively and see how we can make this work for people. Working with our economic development and tourism, the Old Town area, and our collaborative partners with the Museum of the West, right? And so we have an audience that loves Western culture. It's part of our culture. You can't get away from WestWorld's beginnings as an equestrian park, right, and horse world. And so half of our property is set up for equestrian success, and that's always going to be the case, right? And so we want to make sure that we can provide the best opportunities for our equestrian partners, and then utilize the rest of the space for those other events that might have never thought about a WestWorld location.
What is one of the craziest events that's ever been asked, maybe denied or accepted? Do you have,
Oh, I don't know if I have any of that background knowledge, just because of the time that I've been there, right?
I would assume so, but I was just
it's so interesting to me, because even while I've been there the last 8 months, right, and you're just like, the things that you, we have a lot of reptile shows that come through, and I'm personally love that people who love reptiles, but that's never been my thing. And
I'm with you. Like, I'm out. Yeah.
I can do lizards, and like all of those, but I would rather,
got the creeps,
I would really rather not.
Okay, but it fits in there.
But snakes are a no-go for me. But like, we got a package of like geckos because they shipped geckos for this reptile show, and we're sitting in our office and we're like, what do we? I mean, I know what we do with the geckos, but you don't expect to get a package of geckos delivered to your office, right? And so, and it is cool because I make a point to go to all of the shows, obviously, and walk through and seeing just the absolute variety of one thing. And then the last time that we had the reptile show, we had the reptile show happening in one part of the property. In the middle part, we had an equestrian show happening. And then in the North Hall, we were getting set up for the Collecticon, which was the card thing. Yeah. And so you're like, these are so... Maybe there's crossover,
they're pretty different audience.
But they're pretty different, right? Or you get the Pinteresters and the quilters and the crafty people, and I'm a crocheter, so I get it, right? But then at the same time, you can have a car show that's coming in the next weekend.
Junk in the Trunk is huge there too.
Yep. And so really looking at all those opportunities. Scottsdale Art Week, right? Like we just have
the Ferrari Art Week is happening in March again. Mm-hmm. All of those things.
It's just beautiful. Yeah. And I always appreciate the creativity. We provide a safe and adaptable opportunity and area for event producers, right? To see what event producers can make of those spaces from one event to the other and have it look like something completely different is beautiful, and it's amazing.
I kind of hear you say, like, bring it. Let's see what you can bring to me that possibly can't say no to, right? Kind of thing.
Because we're on Bureau of Reclamation land, I will preface in like asterisks, right? There are, as a federal partner, we have some things that we have to be mindful of, for their federal rules. But like around that and what we like...
are able to do or host.
Let's talk. Yeah. I think that there's absolute opportunities here, and I don't think that we want to miss an opportunity that could be really great for our community without having a conversation.
Yeah. What are you most excited about taking over at WestWorld? Or working with your team, I will say, because it is very much a team effort.
So it is a huge team effort, and they are so awesome at what they do, and their technical capacity, they are footing experts, which those who don't know what footing means, it's the way that the dirt is set up for an arena for an equestrian event.
Right, it matters.
Which is super important, right? Because we're talking about the safety of the horse, and there's different disciplines of equestrian shows require different footing, and so the team has to know all of those things. But then being able to flip it and get ready for a concert, or being able to flip it and get ready for the home show, or flip it, and so they work so hard. And the shade is important at WestWorld because there's not a lot of shade, right? And so this team is doing all of this amazing work outside in the heat. It's 115 degrees outside and it's humid, and they're out there doing the best job that they can. And so I'm really excited to be able to lead the team, work with the team, and learn from the team, and provide some consistent new processes. Things change really fast, right? And so being able to provide processes as things are changing and moving so that we can be in alignment with what the broader city government needs, and then meeting the needs of our producers, I can create opportunity with all of those things simultaneously. And so I'm pretty excited about that.
Basically, you're just saying, bring it, we'll give you the opportunity, let's find a way to make this happen, pretty much.
Yeah.
The opportunity is there, we just have to have it. What has been the biggest surprise for you?
I think you can know it and you can think it, but then seeing it as something different. And it's that flipping from one event to the other, right? And so going in, I think the perfect time of year is really in that January, February transition.
Oh, gosh.
And coming into next year, it's going to be a whole other thing just because the way the calendar works between the Waste Management Phoenix Open and Arabian Horse Show and Barrett Jackson, and just timing of all of our different things and the amazing opportunities that we have here in Scottsdale. That's going to be a mastery of calendar control and strategic planning, but I'm all for it and I'm ready. But being able to see it go from what the beautiful infrastructure that Craig Jackson and Barrett Jackson have for their show, and then having one of the most significant equestrian shows in the entire world a couple of weeks later, and then switching it again. People might not know that we actually build an arena in the same place that the auction is held for Barrett Jackson. And so literally 3 weeks later, you go from having beautiful cars and the auction seats to having a dirt arena where horses are riding through and training and practicing and showing.
It's nuts.
And then we take that dirt out, and then we have like a few days, and then we turn it over and we bring in Ferrari Scottsdale Art Week, right? And so, and then you do it again. And so just seeing the volume of that transition, you can't say enough about it until you actually look at it, because the amount of work and time and skill that it takes to do all of those things.
You should do a time-lapse video of something.
We have some. They're on YouTube. You can actually go and find them. We'll have to like link that in there. Yeah, because I was like, I can't even imagine when I was getting there and really hearing what they were talking about for how that works. And they're like, oh, we have a video. I was like, of course you do. So, but it is absolutely cool to see that time lapse of how they bring in like 160 dump trucks of dirt.
Oh my gosh.
Layer it flat, like do the footing, get it ready, and then you have to do the reverse, right? You have to roll all that back out, and you have to make sure that it's clean, and you have to power wash, and you have to dust. And so, but it allows us to have that space be used for a variety of events. It's a creative way to say, like, let's figure it out.
I love it, which is just keep you on your toes and more fun, I think. What do you want residents to know about Scottsdale? Maybe a misconception or something, patience as someone who lives out there, kind of thing.
WestWorld has something for everybody. So a lot of people think that WestWorld is like this one thing, right? WestWorld is the Arabian Horse Association's shows. WestWorld is Barrett Jackson. Right. WestWorld is the 4th of July. WestWorld is, right? Like it's this one singular event that somebody went to WestWorld for. But we have things all the time. And so our website has our calendar of events that are always available for people to go and look and see if there's interest. Some things are not ticketed and you can just go. So if you are looking for something that you want to find, I think the equestrian events are a really great example of that. That's a discipline that people might not have access to and information. It's great to go in and watch. And in the Equidome, when we have a show in there, you can take your family and you can go watch some really cool things that maybe you didn't know happened or existed in the world, right? And so there's always something to be found at WestWorld, but that means that there's always something going on at WestWorld. And so, and if you just look at the map, right, there's only so many ways in and out of that facility. And so while we all work really hard to make sure that we're efficient and we get people through, there's what you hit a tipping point where you have so many people that are trying to get on very few roads. And so patience is hard, right? And it's not ideal. And when you're sitting there and you're super excited for an event and you're waiting to get into the parking lot or something. And so I'm excited about those projects that I talked about earlier, the wayfinding project, because we're really looking at what solutions can we put into place to minimize those impacts and that wait time, really just looking for efficiencies. And so what we are doing is all of these capital projects that we have on the map with the master plan for WestWorld are to improve both producer and user experience, being a good neighbor, right? We're putting together communication strategies for not just our event producers and the city, but also our neighbors, right? And how do we communicate with our neighbors what's going on? Because you might not know what's happening in the community,
there be
right?
times like I literally, like I have to I live in North Scottsdale in that area, right? I could walk to WestWorld. In fact, sometimes we do walk to WestWorld because it's just easier. But I'm like, what is going on? I didn't even know things were going on. So it really is constantly a flow. And besides the actually really, really big events, it's not that bad. But I'm not on Bell Road, so that's different. It's true in that sense. You've done so many positions here in the city. You've held a lot. So I'm curious to know, what is your favorite Scottsdale vibe?
That's such a great question, because I feel incredibly fortunate that a place that so many people come from all over the world, right? For the reasons that we talked about today, right? People all over the world know about Barrett Jackson, right? My classmates in Naval Postgraduate were like, oh, I love cars. Barrett Jackson's like my dream trip, right? And you take it for granted sometimes that you just go to all of these things that people think about and plan like life-changing trips to go to. And so just having the opportunity to provide support and be there to make those things happen for people is pretty magical. And I try really hard not to take that for granted, because sometimes you can get caught up in the work part of it and not enjoy the moment. And so I've had incredible opportunities with my career and being with the city and in public safety where you have to like, they're pinch me moments where you're sitting in the background of something and you're going, I get to be here and I'm working. This is work. And other people are sitting there right as excited as me. And so I'm a person that like, I show my excitement for the most part. And so but enjoying those moments is super important.
You're still able to be a spectator and a part of it, the entertainment.
It's the joy of public service, right? Finding those moments of joy. There's a lot of hard in, right, in work in general and in life. And so being able to find the little pockets of that joy in what I get to do every day and then make that something that those who get to joy, like the residents in our community and the travelers that are coming in to enjoy these experiences, being a part of making that possible for them, that's my favorite Scottsdale vibe.
That's a new one. I like that. I'm with you on that one. Well, go check out all the amazing events happening at WestWorld. It is right in our backyard. We are so incredibly lucky. And for those of you that have been following along for the past 5 years, you know my full circle moment. I used to watch Barrett Jackson on TV with my dad. Never expected to live out here. And we got to celebrate the anniversary, big time event together. So it is one of those magical moments that you get to grow with. So I'm very excited. Be sure to check out everything. Like I said, all the events, it is happening now, so get ready. One person that knows really well about all the amazing things happening, who has grown up watching WestWorld, is Jeremy Mueller of State Farm Insurance. Jeremy really knows what it means, the value of community, and that's exactly what you get with his team. With three locations here and around Scottsdale, there's always a person to speak with for your needs, with home, auto, life, and business insurance coverage. To learn more about Jeremy Mueller, visit him at jeremymueller.com or call him at 480-515-5223. Have a wonderful week, Scottsdale. Keep vibing, and I'll see you around town.